Are you considering a move to Alberta? Here are the top 7 pros and cons of living here in Airdrie, Alberta. And hang on to the end, the last one could just decide everything. Here we go. Here are the top 7 reasons why you would never want to consider moving here to Airdrie, Alberta. So unless you work from home or your job is right here in Airdrie, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be commuting into Calgary for work. This means you'll be crowding onto the busy freeway every morning with thousands of other commuters. And for a few months in the winter, this will likely be in the dark. And a few times every winter, there's likely to be some bad weather, making the commute, shall we say, interesting. To be honest, this is probably the biggest reason that keeps people from moving here to Airdrie, Alberta. Now, most winters, serious weather events just really aren't that common. For example, I'm filming this in the middle of December and it's 12 degrees out and the snow is melting. I did make another video about the winter commute. I filmed the commute into Calgary right after a storm with the snow-covered roads to give you an idea, a flavor of what it's like. Depending on where you're watching this, you'll either find it in the notes below or you can just check out the channel Living in Airdrie, Alberta on YouTube. For you, it may actually depend on where you're commuting to. Calgary is a big city, but Airdrie and Calgary, border to border, are only 8 or 9 minutes apart. Yeah, I made a video about that too. You can check it out on the channel. If you're commuting to the Northeast Commercial Industrial area, you're gonna find it's pretty quick. Downtown, still pretty good. Southeast Industrial area, well, that'll be a little bit longer. If you're going that far, you may want to make the drive 2 or 3 times and see if you think this is manageable for you. Now, if you're coming from a big city like Toronto, you're gonna think all this commuting stuff here is this chicken feed. A new interchange here in Airdrie that's just been completed has made the commute for many Airdrie residents much quicker. Yep, I made a video about that one too. Now, con number 2 is Airdrie's weather. Now, don't get me wrong, summertime here in Airdrie is spectacular. It's amazing. The weather is perfect, never too hot, never too cold. But a fun fact, Airdrie is the highest elevation city in Canada. Yep, that's true. Sitting at a little higher elevation than Calgary, and we're pretty open to the breeze. This means when storms blow into the area, sometimes it seems like we get hit a little harder than Calgary. And because so many commute into the city every day, winter always seems to make a few days a year quite difficult to commute, with the blowing snow and ice and all. Now, the other issue is hail. Sometimes hail to biblical proportions. Yeah, I know this is kind of an Alberta-wide or maybe a prairie-wide issue, but for whatever reason, Airdrie seems to have a target on it. So many times we've gotten serious, damaging hailstorms, destroying roofs, breaking windows, damaging cars. It's not uncommon to hear somebody say, "Oh, my roof needs replacing." I think I'll just wait for the next hailstorm and get the insurance company to do it. So if you don't have a vehicle or a vehicle each, Airdrie may not be for you. Now, Airdrie does have a public transit system to connect you around town, to connect you between here and Cross Iron Mall, and actually from here to the city in Calgary. It just doesn't seem as well developed as the system in Calgary, with a litany of buses and trains. Now, if you're just going to be dependent on the transit system just for the morning and evening commute, the Intercity Express Transit will probably work okay for you, and the occasional trip to the city, you'll probably be okay. There are more buses during the morning and evening commute to connect into the city. For the occasional trip, there is a manageable system about once an hour to connect into like the Whitehorn LRT station, the light rail transit, and a few other places in Calgary for that occasional trip to the city when a car is not available. Con number 4 for Airdrie, recreation. Airdrie is a great town, but the opportunities for recreation here just pale compared to just the giant city next to us, Calgary. Calgary has lakes, a plethora of indoor, outdoor recreation, wave pools, climbing centers, even an actual ski hill. If you are looking for that huge variety of recreation activities, Airdrie may not be for you, but here's what Airdrie does have. Airdrie has Genesis Place behind me, a very large sports and recreation facility. Family pool, lazy river, water slide, lane swim, a large and very well equipped weight room and fitness facility, indoor running track, basketball, indoor soccer field, a whole gymnastics club, indoor ice surfaces for ice sports. Airdrie also has Chinook Winds Park. It's a large regional park with ball diamonds, a skate park for the skateboarders, splash pool, beach volleyball courts, more ball diamonds, and a disc golf course over at Fletcher Park. East Lake and East Lake Park with their athletic fields, outdoor running track, football, hockey rinks. There's several around town, outdoor hockey rinks, athletic field, tennis. What am I forgetting, guys? Miles of walking trails, 3 other indoor ice surfaces for hockey and figure skating. That's actually quite a lot of activities for a small city. If you are looking for the center of a thriving, diverse culture, you're likely going to be underwhelmed by the goings-on around Airdrie, Alberta. Airdrie is growing fast, and this is gonna change. But Airdrie has been a pretty traditional small Alberta city for a long time. Airdrie does have some fun events like the giant Canada Day celebrations, which are coupled together with the Airdrie Pro Rodeo, which is actually one of the top 10 largest pro rodeos in Canada. And Airdrie Fest is a well-attended street festival held every September, and it's full of food, drink, art, and music. And every December, Nose Creek Park, where I am right now, is transformed into a sparkling winter Christmas wonderland, the Airdrie Festival of Light. Quite a few families drive out from Calgary for this month-long Christmas event. There are probably a dozen other festivals held here throughout the year, and there's community theater over at Birch Church Theater on Airdrie's east side. But generally, Airdrie is pretty quiet on the cultural front. Con number 6, food and entertainment. All right, food first. If I look back over the last 20 years or so here in Airdrie, this may actually qualify for the most improved category. 20 years ago, there was not much besides fast food and small town Chinese. Man, I'm just trying to remember anything remarkable. I just can't think of anything. If you're local here and you think of something, put it in the comments below. But I'll be super straight. If you're looking for the culinary scene, you're not gonna find it here in Airdrie. There are some good beginnings though. There's this super authentic Greek place, this family business, Perro's on Main Street in the old part of Airdrie. Fantastic. Abe's Sandwich Shop. This pork belly sandwich is ridiculous. Jams, a breakfast place over here. Bottomless hash browns, so good. Oh, can't forget Tequila and Tacos, a family of chalangos directly from Mexico City. They make amazing Mexican food. Real Mexican food like you would actually buy in Mexico. Superb. And there's probably 4 or 5 others like that that are starting a growing food scene here, plus several craft beer brewers. But if you're really a foodie, Airdrie's not your food scene. Now, if you're happy to have a place to go out for a nice meal and a glass of wine on a Friday night, fantastic. There's the ones I mentioned, plus some really good options as far as chain restaurants, like the one behind me, State and Main. Just not a true food scene here. Okay, now for entertainment. As in a place to go out for live music and dinner and dancing and that kind of thing. Concert events. All right, so this occasionally happens here. It's pretty rare. Mostly we have a small selection of some pretty decent pubs, and that's it. So Airdrie is a small place, a city of under 100,000 people. Naturally, food and entertainment are going to be somewhat limited. Con number 4 for Airdrie would be jobs. Airdrie has long been a bedroom community to Calgary. Historically, a ton of folks here in Airdrie, every morning they grab their Tim Hortons travel mug and their car keys and they hit the freeway to Calgary. Sure, there are jobs here. There is a busy industrial area with quite a bit of warehousing and light manufacturing. Halfway to Calgary in Rocky View County, just behind the Cross Iron Mills shopping district, there are a ton of warehouses and manufacturing facilities being built. So there are those kind of jobs there. There's just very few white collar and knowledge economy jobs here. So those who work in this area typically work from home or they commute into Calgary. Hey, one good thing though is we are super close to the Calgary International Airport, and a ton of the airport staff and airline employees have chosen to live here in Airdrie. So one of the first things that draws people here to Airdrie is it's cheaper. The houses have always tended to be less than nearby Calgary. Now, quick look at the numbers for a single detached home. The benchmark home in Calgary is $699,500. Now, benchmark means typical, a bungalow around 1,200 square feet or a 2-story home around 1,750 square feet. This will vary some by area. So this benchmark or typical home in Calgary is about $700,000. What about Airdrie? So the same benchmark home here in Airdrie, drum roll please, $614,000. So that's a savings of way over $80,000. And that's enough cash to buy a brand new Mercedes SUV, a Mercedes GLE 350. What do you think? Worth it? Nice, right? And that's cool and awesome, but that's not the only reason that thousands of families are choosing to live here in Airdrie. Now, pro number 2 for Airdrie is safer than Calgary. Now, both Airdrie and Calgary are super great cities and great places to live, but how do they compare for safety? Now, for total crime, Airdrie is now rated at right at the national average. And Airdrie is 19% lower than the national average. That's better. Now, Calgary for violent crime is 22% lower than the national average. And how about Airdrie? 37% lower than the national average. Airdrie is safer. That's a huge difference. Now, property crime is lower in Airdrie as well, quite a bit lower. So, good pro there. Airdrie, safer place to live. Now, pro number 3 is Airdrie is a new city. In the 1980s, Airdrie had a population of about 10,000 people. And when I moved here in the mid-90s, the population was something like 18,000 people. This year, we blew through 80,000 people and closing in on 100,000 fast. So the place has grown so fast that the place is almost entirely brand new. New facilities, new roads, new stores, new restaurants, new everything. Pro number 4 for sure is Airdrie is a family-oriented city. Maybe it's because Airdrie is a smaller city and has roots as a rural Alberta town, but Airdrie is so much more focused on families. The many parks here are kid and family focused, and festivals are mostly kid focused. Hey, even the New Year's Eve fireworks that set off every year on New Year's Eve right here at East Lake is set off at 6:30 p.m. after dark. Well, you know, the kids have to go to bed, right? In case you're wondering, I did make a video about the best neighborhoods in Airdrie for families with kids. And check out the Living in Airdrie Alberta channel on YouTube. I'll try to remember to leave a link in the description below. Now, this may sound crazy to you, but it doesn't really matter where you are in Airdrie or where you want to be in Airdrie. You can pretty much hop in your car and be there in 12 or 13 minutes. Even the huge Cross-Iron Mills shopping mall and Costco. But you sure couldn't say that about Calgary. Sometimes it'll be over an hour to get from one end of the city to the other. Now, if you're coming from another large metropolitan center, you're gonna giggle when you hear locals here complain about traffic. It's just that many of us here remember the year that the first traffic light was installed in Airdrie. As the city grows, there have been some traffic issues, and especially during the commuting times, morning and evening. But with several big infrastructure projects completed, huge improvements there. It's actually pretty fantastic. So all of those cool things that Calgary has to offer are mostly 20 to 35 minutes away. All the fantastic recreation opportunities and the thriving diverse culture of a large, diverse and growing metropolitan population. A vast selection of food and entertainment options, almost endless job opportunities, and even connection to access Calgary Transit, including buses and trains. Hey, you can even cheer for the Calgary Flames live. Now, surprisingly, quite a few of these things or even closer in driving time for those of us that live here in Airdrie than for many who live in the far-flung newer areas in the outskirts and the growing areas of Calgary. Now, our goal here at freehomesearchcalgary.com is to make your home search as easy as possible and to support you along the way. So if you'd like me to set up or fine-tune an automatic home search for you, here's my email. Go ahead and reach out. I'd be glad to help. Okay, I'm linking a few of the videos that I mentioned earlier on the screen, but there's only room for so many. So you can find the rest of them on the YouTube channel at Living in Airdrie, Alberta. Hey, one quick interesting fact. Did you know that you can have a professional buyer's agent like me actively hunting for your next perfect home to help you set up financing and work with you to negotiate the best price possible and help you through all the details of buying your next perfect home? And here's the best part. It's absolutely free for you. You don't pay me a penny. As a buyer's agent, I get paid out of the proceeds of sale. Here's my email address and phone number. Reach out to me by phone, text, email, however you want to reach out to me. Be glad to help you through this process of relocating here to Airdrie, Alberta. Bye-bye.